Hi, this is Samantha from the Stitchin Post, and I'm going to show you how to cut a hydrangea flower for our flower kits. So what I have right here is a 1 3/4 inch square that I've cut from my Sue Spargo wool fabric. I'm going to fold that square in half, and I'm just going to put my thumb and index finger there as a marker. And I'm going to cut on the fold up to where my fingers are, both sides. All right, so you can see now I've got cuts there. I'm going to fold it in the other direction with the cuts I already made matched up together. I'm going to put my thumb and finger in the middle again and do the same thing. I'm going to cut right up to my finger on both sides. Okay, now you can see our flower is already coming together. So all we need to do now is round the corners, and I'm just going to do that free cutting. I'm going to go around one side and just keep turning my piece. And you know, keep in mind that Mother Nature doesn't do things exactly, and a real flower would have, you know, little pieces missing. It wouldn't be perfect, right? So this doesn't need to be perfect. Just cut and get an approximate flower shape. Okay, so I've gone all the way around in one direction. I'm going to just flip my flower over and do the other side the exact same way. Just rounding my corners to get that flower shape. And you can see each one of my petals is a little bit different in shape, and that's totally fine. There we go. Get that last bit. Okay. There is our flower, all done. Now we're going to add a little bit of shading with ink to our flower petal. So we cut this in the last section, and now what you're going to need along with your cut flower petal is a paper towel, one of these fantastic applicators. They come in either a round or a pointed tip, and it doesn't really matter which one you have. In this case, I have the pointed tip, but the round will work fine too. And then you're going to need your ink. So I have here Sukaniko ink in peony purple, and you're going to need just a little tiny bit of it. Okay, so we're going to shake our ink up just a touch. Open it up, use your stick, and you can dip it in the bottle, or a lot of times I can see here in my cap, that's really all the ink I'm gonna need. So I'm just gonna rub my applicator in the cap. Okay, and now we're gonna get off most of this ink. You don't want very much ink at all, because we're just adding shading. We don't want this to be super obvious. So rub it off and make sure you rotate your stick so that you don't end up with a puddle of ink on one side. Okay, then grab your puddle, and hydrangea flowers are lighter in the middle usually. So we're just going to go around the edge with our stick. So, and it adds a very subtle color variation around those edges to give it some depth and realism. So, and I'm not pressing hard, just rubbing real lightly. And that's all you need to do. We're done. Now it's time to work on the stems for our flowers. So you want to take the wire from your kit and cut it to about 9 inches in length. So you can see I've got 3 of them here that are about 9 inches in length. And you're going to need 1 stem per flower. Okay? So once you have them cut, what you want to do, I have some wire tools here with some small ends to them. You can use needle nose pliers. You could probably even wrap this around a toothpick. If you have these tools though, this is going to be the easiest. Okay, so you're just going to grab the end of your wire as close to the end as you can get, and our goal here is to make just a little circle with the wire. Then this circle is going to end up being the center of the flower. So I'm just going to make one turn, rotate it, make a second, and then you can see I've got a little circle there on the top, and I'm going to just hold on to it and turn it. So now my circle sits at the top and will become the center of my flower. Now we're going to move on to adding the stem. We have our flower that's been cut and shaded, and we have the stem that we made with our curved end. And all you need to do is poke the stem right through the center of the wool fabric. It should go through easily on its own. If it doesn't, you can use your scissors and snip a tiny hole in the center to stick your stem through. Okay, so and then you're just going to move it about halfway onto the stem for now. So now we're going to glue our flower to the stem. And I have a low temp glue gun here, and I'm using clear glue right now. If you look at the purple ones, I used this glitter glue to add a little bit of lightness to the center of the darker ones. You can go either way, but for right now, we're just going to use the clear glue. So we're going to take our stem with our flower that's halfway on there, and you can see I've got a piece of, it's just the top of a metal tin. You could put down some parchment paper, but you want to have something to protect your surface. Okay, and I'm just going to squirt a tiny little bit of glue on the underside of my stem. So you can see I put it right on the underside. I'm going to push my flower down, and using my fingers, I'm just going to hold the flower up to that stem just for a minute. And now when we turn it over, our flower has a little bit of shape, and the glue is underneath the center of our stem. All right, now that we've completed our flowers, we're going to make some leaves. Hydrangea leaves, when you look at them, they're pretty fat and wide, bigger at the bottom with a little bit of a point at the top. So what you need is a square of your green wool. It's 3 inches by 4.5 inches long, okay? A pair of sharp scissors and a pair of pinking shears. Okay, fold your wool in half lengthwise, right? And we're just gonna free cut this. I know that that kind of freaks some people out, but trust yourself, it's okay. And just keep in mind, you know, Mother Nature isn't perfect. Things are not always totally symmetrical and even, so it's just fine. And so all we're going to do is free cut a leaf shape. So we're going to start and round that bottom corner, go right along the edge there. So I have, this is the bottom of my leaf, and then I'm going to come in to a point. Okay, and you can open it up and take a look. That looks pretty good to me. I've got a few little you know, kind of uneven spots there, but that's fine. We're gonna remove those with the pinking shears anyway, okay? So we have our leaf shape, and then you wanna take your pinking shears and just go around the very edges. And I'm making it so they're nice and small, not getting them all the way as deep as I could. And we're just gonna go all the way around our leaf with these pinking shears. And there's your leaf. Right, the next step for our leaves is adding some shading, just like we did with the flowers. So with the leaves, I am using this ultramarine Sukaniko ink. And I have a fantastic, this one happens to have the round tip instead of the pointed tip, but like I said before, it doesn't matter which tip you have, both of them will work just fine. Okay, so we're gonna give our ink a little bit of a shake. And you can see there's some ink there in the cap. And I'm just going to use the ink from the cap. You don't need a lot. Okay. And then I'm going to rub on my paper towel until I've taken most of it off. Remember to turn the stick as you're rubbing so you don't end up with just removing the ink from one side. Okay, so we can see I've got most of the ink off. I'm going to take my leaf, and This time what I'm going to use the ink for is to draw some of those like veins that you see on a leaf. So I'm just going to draw down the center with my line. And you can see I didn't draw it straight, and that's fine. Most of the time they're not totally straight. And then you're going to add lines going out toward the edge of your leaf at an angle. Okay? They don't have to be directly across from each other. Take a look at a leaf and you'll see that these lines are not perfect. Okay? There we have it. That's all I'm going to do. The last step to complete our leaf is to glue the stem on. So I have the 9-inch stem, just like we had for the flowers. So they're the same length, but you can see there's no circle on the end. I haven't done anything to it, but clipped it to the right length. Okay, and my leaf that I've added the veins to. So put your leaf on your work surface. Again, I've protected my surface with this metal container lid. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm just going to take my glue gun and I'm going to run a thin line right from the tip down the center of the leaf. Okay, again, I'm using a low temp glue gun, so if I accidentally get my fingers in here, it's not the end of the world, right? And then press your stem, yeah, see, just like that, right into the glue. Okay, so here's a leaf where the glue is completely dry, and you can see once it's dry, then you can use your wire in the back to shape the leaf in however you want.